The Power of Now, Part 3. You know, many rabbis like to poke fun at the 3-day-a-year Jew. I know of one rabbi of a large shul in the South in the United States who after Ne'ilah, after the services on Yom Kippur, actually got up and announced the Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur services for the following year. It was his way of poking fun at the Jews that only show up in synagogue 3 days a year. And I'd like to offer a short defense for the 3-day-a-year Jew. I'm not encouraging that behavior, but I'm trying to allow us to understand where this comes from and why in many ways it's a very positive thing. You know, the halacha tells us that in small Jewish communities, and this is an issue that came up even in the early Middle Ages in Europe, in small Jewish communities, there's no obligation in a community that doesn't have a full minyan, doesn't have a full quorum of 10, to hire extra people to come and join the minyan. The only time there's an obligation to do that, the only time where individual members of the community can force each other to chip in, to pay for the extra 3 or 4 who are going to fill out the minyan, is on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Because the halacha understands that although it's important to pray with a minyan the entire year, on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur there is a unique obligation. And there are certain times in the calendar on which we have to rise to the occasion. Now, I don't encourage the behavior of the 3-day-a-year Jews, but at least they've gotten one thing right. They understand that on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you have to rise to the occasion. And this is a very important Jewish insight. And it's an insight that's important to any Jew who's less than perfect, including virtually every Jew in the world. And that is that even if we're not perfect, there are times that we have to rise to the occasion. I think about the late Israeli pilot and astronaut, Ilan Ramon. And Ilan Ramon, who was on the space shuttle Columbia and perished on that space shuttle, made certain that when he went out into outer space as the first Israeli astronaut, as a symbol of the Jewish people, Ilan Ramon went into outer space with kosher food, even though he wasn't always scrupulous about eating kosher food. He went into outer space with a Kiddush cup, even though maybe he didn't always make Kiddush. He went into outer space with a small Sefer Torah. He did so because he understood that as a symbol of the Jewish people, he had to rise to the occasion. He had to do things on a different level, a different standard. And that's something that every Jew understands on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's something that all of us have to understand, that at critical moments we have to rise to the occasion. Now, the story of Ilan Ramon, unfortunately, has a tragic coda as well. Just before Rosh Hashanah, his son Asaf passed away. Asaf had decided to go into the Israeli Air Force, even though he had an exemption, because his father had passed away on the Columbia. But Asaf decided that he was going to follow in his father's footsteps. He was going to join the Israeli Air Force. And unfortunately, in a tragic accident, he perished. Asaf, however, understood exactly what his father understood. Each and every one of us has to rise to the occasion. His father rose to the occasion as an Israeli astronaut who proudly exhibited symbols of Jewish identity. Asaf rose to the occasion as the son of a mother who was a widow, a son who had lost his father. He said, I'm going to rise to the occasion anyway. And now in Ilan and Asaf's memory, it's incumbent on every other Jew in the world to rise to the occasion as well.